Welcome to another week of Celtic Chalk Talk. This week I will continue to go through my top 10 all-time Celtics. I'm at number 6, but before I do, my name's Steve Purciello, a lifelong Celtic fan. I go back to the Bill Russell days and I can remember so much about it. Go a long way, got a lot of stories to tell. Before I begin that, I just want to remind people that this Peach Basket Network is a network of independent contributors who all do pods and write. We are not affiliated with anything except the Peach Basket. We're fans of basketball. We write our opinions and we do podcasts with our opinions. I really suggest that you sit down and listen to it and listen to the other pods and check out the Peach Basket .net, the network, and you might find other pods very good, and you might become a subscriber. Take a shot, you'll like it. This week, I get to number 6. Number 6 for me is Dave Cowens. And Dave Cowens was a player the Celtics drafted in 70. And let me go backwards to give you a little bit about that. In 1969, Bill Russell retired with the title. In the 69-7, or whatever, the Celtics had Henry Finkel playing center for a year. Boston was not very good. I believe they were 32-50. And they were not very good, and Boston knew it when Russell retired. Tommy Heinsohn was the head coach. He was a new coach. He had a lot to learn. After the year, the fourth pick in the overall pick in the draft from Florida State was a guy by the name of Dave Cowens. Now, when he was drafted, he was 6'9", he was a center, and you wondered, can a 6'9" guy survive in the NBA? Russell was one of the many people that recommended him and thought he was good. They loved his heart and loved his abilities. As a rookie, he got 17 points and 15 rebounds. Now, understand, if you go back and look at the numbers in the NBA at that time, guys played unusually large minutes, as I'll tell you as we go through Cowens, but they also grabbed a lot of rebounds, particularly centers. And Cowens, as a rookie, like I said, he was shared the Rookie of the Year award with a guy by the name of Jeff Petrie from Princeton, who played for Portland. He was a guard. In fact, Petrie ended up the general manager of Portland for quite a few years. In his second year, he played a lot of games, let's put it that way, in the early years of him. 79 games, second year, played 40 minutes a game, and he was 18 points, 15 rebounds. The Celtics lost to the Knicks in the playoffs. Now they were back in the playoffs, and they were getting better. Now they had Joe White and a great John Havlicek, along with other players, but those were the key players on the team. By the 72-73 season, he played all 82 games. Again, they lost to the Knicks in the playoffs. This was a little different. He was the 73 MVP. In this year, Boston had the best record. They won over 60 games. And they got to the playoffs. They played the Knicks. And in Game 3, and John Havlicek hurt his shoulder. I think he separated it. But in Game 3, he sat out Game 4 and came back. And he really played left-handed. Amazing in today's world. And he still did well. Not as well as he usually did. And Boston lost to the Knicks in that series in 7 games. If I remember correctly, and I do remember, Boston in Game 7 had it back at home. They were down in the series, came back, beat New York in New York, came back home, and everybody thought they'd win, and they played horribly. The Knicks won easily. And Dean Meminger, a reserve on the Knicks, had a tremendous game to really hurt the Celtics. But now we get the 73-74. Coming off the MVP season, Boston again was real good. They won 56 or so games that year, and they had an interesting year. They went in and they got into the playoffs, and they beat Buffalo, got to the finals. They beat 2 teams and got to the finals and played the Bucks. Now, Tommy Heinsohn is the new coach. This was an interesting series. Milwaukee had this guy by the name of Lou Alcindor. You might know him as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he was great, like he was throughout his career with the Lakers. The series was a 3-3 tie going into Game 7. Interesting part of that was both teams only won 1 game on their home court. So now they're going back to Milwaukee for Game 7. Boston lost Game 6 to set it up at home, and it looked like Milwaukee was going to win it. Tommy Heinsohn decided to make a change. He wasn't going to double Kareem. He was going straight up with Cowens, defending him. And he let it go. It was a Sunday afternoon game. I remember it well. Boston went out, took a lead, and held that lead throughout the game, giving them the World's Championship. It was a great win, beating Kareem, and the Bucks said it would propel Kareem at some point to look to get traded and to go to another team. And he wanted either Los Angeles or New York, but he ended up in Los Angeles. But the Celtics win the championship. The next year, Boston didn't do as well. They lost in the playoffs. Dave Cowens, 40 minutes a game averaging, which is just crazy in today's NBA, 19 and 16, 19.16 rebounds a game. Pretty good. Great numbers every year. And by then, they got close. They won a championship. When they won the championship against Phoenix, and that's a famous game 6, I believe, in that series. They played Phoenix. That's the game where Garfield Hurd hit some shots with 1 second left, and it went into triple overtime. And a guy by the name of Glenn McDonald won the game. Boston won that series. Glenn McDonald was a Celtic first-round pick, and his only claim to fame was coming off the bench late in that game and helping Boston win. There's a picture you might have seen. There's JoJo White late in the game, and there's some foul shooting or something going on. He's sitting on the court. He's playing, but he's sitting on the court because he's so tired. It was a great game. It's considered one of the great NBA playoff games of all time. It's something, if I were you, I would look into YouTube and try to see a little bit about that. The Celtics, from that point on, went downhill. The Celtics, after that season, things just didn't go right. And in the next couple of years, they did poorly. In fact, and Cowens took a leave for some games after the start of the season. And the word was he was burnt out. There was rumors that he was disappointed that the Celtics didn't re-sign Paul Silas. Paul Silas was a four-man, a rebounder, great rebounder, not a great shooter, but a great rebounder, and key figure in the Celtic titles. So he was upset about that. Him and Heinsohn weren't always getting along, so he walked away. That's the rumors. The truth that was put out back then was that he was burnt out, basically. He sat out, then he came back mid-season. Celtics hung on, got into the playoffs with him, but lost. His numbers got a little less. By 78, 79, it gets really interesting. He became the player coach of the team. I think Red Auerbach figured that would motivate him to stay with it. His attitude, more or less, was while he's in the game, Bob McKinnon, one of the assistants, and Casey Jones, another, would handle the team. When he was out, he would coach it. He had a lot of trouble adjusting, and I don't think he really liked that. Now, when we talk about Mr. Cowens, and we think about, and by the way, he did finish his career as a head coach, not his career, but he did become a head coach at Charlotte after he was done playing. He did briefly make a comeback for a year with Milwaukee. That didn't really pan out well. He also coached Golden State for a year or two and didn't have much success. But what made him so popular? It's a great question to me, and I think what you have to understand is here's this 6'9" guy banging with everybody, and he was strong, banging with everybody, this tall redhead. But the other piece to it is he'd dive on the floor. He would do anything for a win. He's today considered a legend in Boston. Why? Because not only of his great numbers and great ability, he was a hard-playing guy that epitomized Boston, really, because he was a blue-collar player who just gave you everything he had. And if you think about it, you can understand him burning out and sitting out a bunch of games because he just became just tired and worn down from the career. But that was how it ended. Now, I'm going to talk just a couple things about some of his awards. He won 2 titles. He won the MVP of the NBA in '78. He was an 8-time All-Star. I believe not, MVP in 73. I was misquoted. But he was also all defense 3 times. He was the rookie of the year, as I said earlier. Also, 50th and 75th anniversary basketball teams chosen. That means 50 guys in the 50-year anniversary and 75. In the 75th anniversary, he was chosen to those teams. His number was retired, number 18, and it's one of the many numbers in Boston Garden that you'll see that had been retired. The other thing was he was a Hall of Famer, of course. So his career and his achievements are legendary. In Boston, he's still a legend when he's up there. He prefers to lead a quiet life, but the impact of him in the 70s for Boston was great. You have to understand one more thing. Russell retires. Auerbach is not considered the genius he became. Here he was. He goes out 1 year. 1 year, Boston's not real good when Russell retires. The next year, he's got Cowens, and Boston they didn't make the playoffs that year, but suddenly becomes good again with Havlicek and Joe White and Paul Silas and people along that line. Steve Kuberski was on on the team. They had some players, and that is Red Auerbach putting it together. And Cowens would be the first. They'd win 2 championships in the 70s. They'd win 3 more with Larry Bird in the 80s. So Red Auerbach established himself as a great GM through putting, not anybody, but most people can win 1 title. But what Auerbach did was not only did he win during the Russell years, but with a new group, he won another title, which makes him one of the great GMs. But that's another day and another discussion. That's it for today. That's my little talk on Dave Cowens. I really suggest you go to YouTube and just watch him play. Energy and played hard and fun to watch. And he can shoot the ball fairly well, got rebound, just did it all. But thank you. We'll see you again when I talk about number 5, my number 5 guy on the Celtics all time. Thank you.